Welcome back to Velshi and Ruhle. It's been 5 days since 32-year-old Heather Heyer was hit and killed by an alleged neo-Nazi in Charlottesville. And until today, there had been no word on whether President Trump would call to offer condolences. Now, just a short time ago, one of the president's advisors told NBC the White House is working on identifying a time that is convenient for the family. Heather's mother publicly thanked Donald Trump this weekend for condemning the hate groups that took part in Saturday's rally. That was, of course, before his very strange Tuesday press conference. Meanwhile, we want to talk about the other victims of the violence that day, the two state troopers killed while helping the police respond. The wake for Trooper Pilot Burke M.M. Bates begins in just about an hour in Richmond, Virginia. His funeral will be held tomorrow. Bates would have been 41 last Sunday. He died the day before his 41st birthday. His brother says Bates was inspired to become a police officer and a pilot after seeing the movie Top Gun when he was 10. He began his career in law enforcement as a member of the Florida Highway Patrol in 1999. In 2004, he joined the Virginia State Police, where he became part of the governor's protective detail. Transferred from Governor McAuliffe's detail in July to the state police's aviation unit. McAuliffe said Sunday Burke was part of his family. Services for the other trooper, Lieutenant H.J. Cullen, will be held tomorrow and on Saturday.
As the nation comes to grips with what happened in Charlottesville, it is very important to remember the people who live there. They are the ones who had hate visit their doorstep. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists inhabiting their parks, demonstrating on their streets, shouting horrible obscenities and staying among them for what should have been just a normal, beautiful weekend in Charlottesville, just ahead of students coming back to campus. They are the ones who have to deal with the aftermath of this national but ultimately local event, with the daily reminders of the tragedy in their own town. And they have a strong reaction for President Trump's words and actions over the past week.
You would ideally want the president to be supportive of the community, and it feels that's if he's attacking us.
I don't feel like he, to mention he has a big house, it's just, that says it all. That's the headline of Trump. I have the biggest everything, I have the greatest everything, I have the best I mean, he has there's no humility there. It would be insulting for someone like him to come down here.
Joining us now, retired NASA astronaut Leland Melvin. He received his graduate degree from the University of Virginia and grew up just an hour south in Lynchburg, and he's the author of Chasing Space. Welcome. It's not every day, it's no days that we get an astronaut here. What is your take on all of this?
Oh my goodness, I was in Malawi helping girls that were, learning about STEM education, building robots and creating things. And I was watching the news, seeing what was happening in my home state, in the state that, I went to University of Virginia, and watching Heather and all these things happen. And I was just appalled, and I felt like I needed to be there. I was almost ready to get back home and try to help people that were there, but it was just so appalling. And I can't believe that the administration would allow something like this to go on in our country.
Well, I mean, allowing it to go on would be benign, at least not going. I mean, it almost seems that when you look at all the times, and as a NASA astronaut, you know that one of those times of national grief was when we had shuttle disasters.
Right.
And that was where the first thing that happens is the president does things to bring us together. You just heard people in Charlottesville saying, why is that not happening here? The president seems to be going in a different direction.
I just feel like, when Columbia happened in 2003, David Brown's father said we must honor the legacy of those that have fallen. And we're now hearing a president talking about Confederate, statues and their legacy and their heritage. And that heritage is not something that everyone wants to be part of. I mean, they were going after slaves. They were going after people in my family back in the day, killing and torturing and doing all these things. And I am appalled that our administration is doing this.
You've faced racism before in your life, in your career. Are you concerned that for whatever reason we are seeing this hate rising? For us living in New York, watching those people in the streets, Nazis, it's astounding that we're talking about the KKK. How did we get here?
Well, what's the sad thing is that, the beautiful thing is that they're taking their hoods off and we can see who they are. Was back in the day, these people were, running around in the darkness, and the Washington Post says, democracy dies in the darkness, and we must bring these people to light. And we must stay positive and help our kids realize that we can overcome these things, like the wars that we've been through. I was in space with people we used to fight against, the Russians and the Germans. And now we have this neo-Nazi right alt and all these people coming out saying these things, and we have to squash this. And I think the people in this country are tired of this, and the mass, people are coming up and ready to stop this.
On your uniform, I don't know if our cameras can get this. You got a U.S. flag on your left.
Right.
You've got, this is your mission.
One of my second mission, my first mission.
Yeah. 122 and 129, and
right.
then you have on your right chest, you've got flags of a lot of countries. Like, you are the picture of
18 countries working together on the International Space Station. We've had Muslim, we've had Hindu, we've had all these different nationalities.
And you're in space looking down on Earth, and your perspective is a little different about people fighting over statues.
Your brain changes when you look back at the planet as you're flying around it every 90 minutes, seeing a sunrise and a sunset every 45. Flying over these places, there's war, but we're working together as one humanity, helping advance our civilization.
Let me ask you one thing. As a black man, you're at the pinnacle of everybody's success, right? To have been in space, to have been an astronaut, that's it. But there are people in this country, whether they're African American or whether they're women or whether they're gay, who are facing prejudice on a daily basis.
Right.
So for you, the battle doesn't seem to have held you back. That doesn't make it irrelevant for others for whom they are still being held back today because of the color of their skin or their gender or their sexuality.
I think if Harriet Tubman can take people from the Deep South with slavery while she would have been raped or killed or whatever and would help people escape to the North, I can do my part to overcome this pestilence, this disgusting racist bigots, to help other people rise. And we must be positive and help other people rise.
You, my friend, are a great American. Thank you so much. Retired NASA astronaut Leland Melvin, thank you.